Hello, this is Gerald van Waas. Let's investigate in this video why a certain word can have a different meaning when it's, for instance, used as a noun or as a verb, and seemingly has something completely different as an association. And I have this French word here of porte, or door, and je porte or I carry, which is exactly the same word with a totally different meaning. How does that come? Let's investigate how that happened, that such a completely different association comes forward from it, because what I say in my theory is that every position of every letter is a steady position. It's always the same kind of position. The combinations of these positions are also always the same thing. So how can this happen? Let's investigate. Of course, I have all the letters of my scheme here together with some 9 positions in space, 9 positions in time associations, and 9 positions in context associations, with which we can combine all the positions in space, time, and in via context. In a central position, an in-between position, and a border position. In that way, also with horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. Also with horizontal lead, vertical leads, or diagonal leads. This is a complete system that you can analyze, and that you can analyze each position and letter from it. Now here you have them already together, and so the middle part is then the spatial references, where you have where you associate the physical objects. The timings are in the second frame. We start with the P in this letter of porte. So the P is at the border with 2 positions always in timing, 2 points to compare. So we have a timing with 2 points to compare, which are both at the edges, and they hang together at the edges. And together I can present them as that bow that presses its borders, presses towards its borders to have the maximum out of its process in time. That's the end of a process in time. That's the P, where I can have it. And I, of course, need to limit there also all of its extensions and progress, so that I can make a definition. The O is there in the middle of that time-framed scheme. So here we have, it's in the middle of the second row, so it's in the volume, in its continuation. So we have an expansion of some progress in time, where we need to find the focus on the moment in time to take out. The vertical is the way to take out something, so that we can realize it, what we have at that point. The R, that's the next letter, is that kind of connection in context, related within the volume. At the borders, it is R, it will connect with context in its whole region of what we have of a volume or of material, that kind of thing. That will be leading there. I have also the O connection, so it goes to the moment, and the P is it presses out its process. Some association beneath. We still don't know, have no clue what par will mean, but I will continue with the letters. Now I'll put the R at the same level of P. That will be more easy, because they both will be connected, of course. And then the next letter will be the T, which is in the spatial area, which will connect a physical thing. And there I have some kind of expansion of my spatial positioning. So I will go further than a fixed position. I will expand that somewhat also to when I try to figure out its position. So but the position on its own is there at that point. And then, of course, the or the pushing forward of time. With a horizontal push, it will be pushed forward in time as a physical progress, in this case, with the letter E. Now, how can we translate that then into a word? So there is, with the T is also something special there, because the T is a position in space, with the E only pronounced as E, it has to go to just one moment. The T is a reference, especially with O in the background as a leading timing moment to take out. It will go to that moment, of course, that is going to be taken out. That's the background of positions that I can find here, and I can recognize an opening up ability with P and R as a moment to be found in space, in T, but which of course also lies further in time to be performed at some stage. That's then the ending with T. Very abstract at this point, but Porte is, we know, means first of all a door. As an object, it means a door. It is, you can see here, it's a physical position on T, but this physical position is enlarged with E, so it's enlarged with something in the background of a time process. This time process is described before that with the O. We take out a moment in which P, something can be pressed out and connected. So that means that something can be opened at some point by connecting to it. Not now, not immediately, but at some moment in time. That's what you can derive from learning to read the letter positions and the logic behind it. But why is je porte then I wear? So where is that difference? How can it be that here definitely there is something like there's a position which in time can be opened, like the door. So how do we see then I wear, I carry something? But first we have to go, of course, to the leading connection in this logic. We have je, or I, who is trying to lead the limits. The G is at the point where it says it's leading the time processes, with a time process. So it's leading the time processes. And where will it lead? Of course, in the word porte. So je is then trying to be balanced at the limits of the time variations. It has to try to find a balance there that it can lead as from a center position G. That's the meaning of the underlying meaning of G always. With porte, if I put the porte underneath and I make the connections, I will, and with the extra forms to it that helps to focus ourselves towards it is, I have more or less this kind of underlying structure that I can read from it. It's a bit more difficult, this process, but I will explain you what I have here. I have the je, with the G is the leading of time, so someone who is leading a time process, je, I. P is the process, so what is it leading in time? It starts from a process also as a time frame with a beginning and end. The process. There has to come out a process. With O, it will go to a certain moment, a highlighting moment. With R, it will connect that moment. Of course, in this case, it will connect it immediately to the leading of the time process, which is je or I. It will lead that, and it will adapt already to it. The R will connect further. It will connect further to what? Because here it's just like it's a connection in time, in the process, to, we will find out, to what? To T, a position in time. So it has a position in time where it will connect, in space. It will connect to a position in space, which, because it is in the changing position, it's also with the green arrow underneath, it's in changing position, so it will be dependent on something. This dependency will be shown in the last letter. In the A, it's dependent to a time process. So it will be dependent, just like with the door, to the moment where it can be carried away and can be taken away in time. So in a way, it can connect as easily as with the door, that at some point it has an opening and we can open the door. Here it is a time frame. The je is leading the time frame, so it will always, also like opening the door, it will be able to take the thing along, always, because it connects to that time moment. So that's why Porte is, if you don't see the time leading je on top of it, it's just, your focus goes immediately to the most physical reference that there is, which is the T position. The T position, what happens there? You have a certain moment, it is a potential in the process which at some point in time can be opened. That's what it is, and that's why this is a physical object that also has a time frame behind it, that it can be opened at some point. But with je underneath, there is an intervention, and I can find and connect to that moment, with which, of course, I will be able to carry something along. That's why the associations are changed, and when your mind follows the rules underlying, it takes you to that position. That's how I see it. I hope it's clear enough, because it was already a quite difficult way to show it to you, because it's just in 2 dimensions. It would be very much nicer and easier if I could show you also the movements and so on. So what's underlying in this porte? You have a stable position of the porte, of the door underneath, but this door has a potential that at some point it will be opened. If I don't look at the physical objects, but I just look at the openings, it's just a way of like, okay, I have an opening, I can take this idea with me at all times. And that's why it also has a completely different meaning, as a possibility to use from the same positions. So with the lead over the timings, of course, you have a control over the process that starts in P. If you don't have any lead in the timings, you of course start from the physical orientation. So the process is dependent from the physical objects, and that's the difference in that focus. Porte was a very nice exception of the rule that the meanings are always the same. In a way, both, let's say, the bag that I carry with me, that I can open at any time, has the same kind of purpose, what I do with it, than the door, which I also need the right moment to open at some time. So basically the both meanings are closer together than you would even suspect or expect. In a way, and I hope I also showed you that thing, but it can be also quite different simply by changing a little bit the context. Of course, porte does, as a verb, does not exist on its own without the full reference. And this because it was also, yeah, it's a grammar. It's just a grammatical example of what you can use in a certain context. In this case, it's a context of I use it at a certain time period, or it's just the object and it changes the significance of the word a bit. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.